All right, so we'll just start with introductions. So I'll be the host today, and my name is Tristan, or the Riddler, while we're doing Kai's Ledger. And with me, I also have Faisal and Didier, who I'll let introduce themselves too.
Hi everyone, I'm Faisal. I'm the founder of Entangle. I'm pleasure to be here.
Hey everyone, I am DDS, Dare Do Something, or as you guys know me these days, the Riddler's Jailer. Yes, I won't let him tell you anything.
Okay, great. So if you're new, and also what's to come. So maybe to start with, we can get Faisal to, well, the theme for today's AMA is speaking on how to create successful projects and a little bit of a look behind the scenes on what Entangle is actually doing to become successful, because there are quite a lot of moving parts in our ecosystem. Speaking on the tokenomics side, because a lot of the times in
Christian?
crypto, projects will launch tokens without having actual utility. Yep.
Yeah, your mic, you're going in and out.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very bad, Tristan. Yeah.
I need to change internet. 1 second.
While Christian is changing his internet, I wanted to also say thank you for everyone attending here today. I didn't get to introduce myself as I couldn't get on the stage, but it's a big pleasure to be here as always. And if someone forgot me, I'm Slava. I'm the co-founder of Entangle.
Okay, great. So I should be back online now. So maybe we can start with the first topic for today's AMA, which is speaking on building tokenomics and also sustainable revenue models with those tokenomics. So I believe Slava, maybe did you want to screen share what we've been working on? You there, Slava?
Yeah, just one moment.
Okay, I think Slava's just having some issues with the document. So I'll share it on my screen 1 second. Okay, so just one moment and I'll start screen sharing now. Okay, there we go. Maybe Faisal or Slava, you want to walk through this since this is probably more your forte.
Yeah, I mean, I can start briefly and Slava can just add. So what we did with the tokenomics was we ran through a very extensive process of machinations modeling. So machinations, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's actually used by game theorists and game design. But it's also a very useful tool for designing token economies. And as you can see, the entangled token economy is actually a very sort of elaborate design, and a lot of thought has gone into what we're doing, especially with our tokenomics, private round, seed round, any other additional rounds that were sold on the left. Then we have our liquid vaults in the middle. We have our staking and validators. showcasing if we have 125 validators staking, if we have delegators to these validators. And also, of course, Entangle is one of the very few and only projects with a dual proof of stake model. So I think really when you look at a lot of cross-chain solutions or messaging solutions which are trying to take data across Web 2 and Web 3, a lot of them don't actually need the token because they're actually private networks, quite centralized networks. So they don't have a blockchain, and their sort of nodes are quite, I'd say, structured in a more centralized manner. Whereas Entangle, what it does is it has a set of almost like if you imagine what is messaging really, what is sending a message from one blockchain to another, it's like delivering post. And in order to do that, it's sometimes it's very valuable post that's going out, a lot of different financial transactions, receipt of people's funds or users' funds. And it's very important that we build a framework around this that's very, very secure. So what we did was we split our infrastructure into what is essentially called transmission agents and validators of the Entangle blockchain. So Entangle has its own modular custom blockchain with a number of validators, which are essentially responsible to validate and authenticate any data that these transmission agents are bringing to the table. So these transmission agents go and fetch data from different sources, whether it's Web3 data or Web2 data, reach consensus, bring it to the validators on the Entangle blockchain, gets authenticated, and then another set of agents goes and delivers that data to smart contracts. And these agents are universally programmed to select data from any source, reach consensus according to a smart contract. And with Entangle, it's not just data, you can also add logic to these operations. So you can actually say, I want this data only when certain values are X or Y. So for example, for our application, Liquid Vaults, we have some logic on our data, which fetches time-weighted average price combined with volume-weighted average price and provides a median price to assets that are being synthesized to liquid stake derivatives. So now just to break this down a little bit, essentially a crypto project, when it comes to token, it's really imperative that investors or anybody involved with the project understand that this token behind it is something of value. So we've built this globalized posted system like the FedEx of Web3, all interconnecting all these different blockchains, not only with on-chain data, but also off-chain data. So now, for example, you can have a betting application. You can cook up one very quickly. And if you want to say, okay, today, for example, my team Arsenal played, they're going to win 2-0. Who wants to take a bet? And you need that data. You can pull it from 3 different sports betting sites and bring it onto your application and encourage people to speculate there. That's just one very broad example. One of the most powerful things that we've built and is our first native application, which focuses on assets in the ecosystem already. And what you're seeing on the screen at the moment is really 3 or 4 different scenarios of when we have, for example, max validators, max keepers, max delegation in a bull scenario, mid scenario, bear scenario. And the way we've designed this economy, even to the point of how many tokens a validator needs to stake, how many tokens a keeper needs to stake or a transmission agent, what can be delegated to them, how we kind of predict our investors to potentially at some point sell some of their tokens, how that fits into our economy is very, very key in order for Entangle to succeed. So we did not take this lightly. As you can see, we've really planned at the most thorough level with even guys who are Olympiad participants in mathematics to really drive into the intrinsic economy of what exactly Entangle is. One of our core revenue pieces is Liquid Vaults. And what that is, and some of you may know already, is we are capturing all of the DeFi assets already in the ecosystem and simply saying you can do more with your assets. And we provide a number of benefits as a result of this. One, the user, he's a DeFi user, he's providing liquidity, he's getting an APR or she, and they're now able to refinance their assets and do more with them. So the user gets capital efficiency. The blockchain that we're connected to does fantastically well, because now if you look at a blockchain as a piece of land, you have different shops and different, real estate being rented out. And imagine a case where they're not sharing the same electricity or they're not sharing gas. So this is an opportunity where we see liquidity as a commodity, but that can be shared and re-borrowed between every single DApp on the ecosystem. So Entangle is basically the communicator via our liquid stake derivatives to allow this liquidity to be shared between DEXs and lending and borrowing solutions. And this, of course, produces revenue because we're allowing money to be recycled and reused between these applications. It actually produces revenue because we are like a recycling plant, for example. And that revenue feeds into our ecosystem. That revenue goes and buys back the token. That's distributed, as you can see, to our validators and our transmission agents. And not just that, we also have a second DApp that's coming, a leverage yield farming protocol. We will have additional DApps building on Entangle ecosystem, all designed for revenue, all designed to put energy back into our token to make sure that it is something of substantial value. And in order to get there, this is the type of work that we had to do. So I know I've sort of gone into very much depth here, Tristan, but I hope that's given a real sort of in-depth flavor as to how we've looked at economy at Entangle.
It certainly has. And I think one of the most special parts about this entire process is simulating different market conditions. Say, for example, you mentioned the bear market or a sideways market or a bull market. And whilst you can't predict everything that will happen in the market, you can get quite close and see how our infrastructure will be impacted by those specific events. And I feel like that's going to become a standard moving forward with a lot of infrastructure, especially when our token is so powerful as it does impact the running of networks and also validators and nodes. So that was a really great overview, and thank you for sharing that. Maybe we can move on to the community side and how we're looking to build tribal communities and really give back to our strongest supporters. So maybe I'll let King DDS speak on this, as he's been in the weeds with all of you guys and also preventing me from sharing the mint price and mint date.
So I don't think they're asking for the mint price. They keep saying MP, and I'm fairly certain that means mango pudding. So they're all very hungry. Want mango pudding. They can't wait until we tell them where to get the mango pudding from. So yeah, talking about the community, the way you guys are and how active you are in Discord, I believe it's not only your love for the project. So definitely people join because they see potential in the project, and almost all of our community is here because of that reason. But it's also because of running multiple events. Now you've seen us with Entangle Elite. We've been running it since season 1. I believe it's season 7 right now, the Road to Mainnet campaign. And it's not just the Entangle Elite campaign. Even though it has gone through multiple iterations, we also have a Zeely campaign. We also have a Galaxy campaign. At the same time, we are running weekly quizzes, weekly games, and there's even a writing competition in Discord called Discord Wars. So it's imperative that any good community, any good project has multiple events, has multiple campaigns ongoing in which their members can learn more about the project, stay engaged, and basically become a sort of place that every morning when the member wakes up, whenever anyone who wakes up wants to check whether there's been any update, how the people are doing, what are they up to, what's the project planning for today. So having these events are very important. At the same time, nothing in life can be done perfectly. All of our members know while running these multiple events, we've hit snags. And it's because we listen to community feedback very carefully. That's why we've been able to make changes upon every season, upon every different variation of the events we've done, and resulting in the campaigns running very smoothly without any issues. We love when we get feedback, and the feedback we usually get is very energetic, compassion, emotional, I would say, to an extent, because you can feel the love the members have for the community, because they genuinely want the feedback to be implemented, and they're actually talking from a standpoint where they see that this implementation will actually improve the way the campaign is run. We've seen it with Discord Wars, we've seen it with Entangle Elite. Now, other than that, there's one uh, very important, I think, factor of Web3, and one that is in every single community on Discord. That is memes. We all have memes, and the use of memes, I believe, truly, you can never say that the power of memes isn't large enough. You've seen the memes we have of the Pepe eating ketchup and Pepe eating uh, what's that? The barbecue sauce. Even though I still think it looks more like peanut butter, but these inside jokes, stuff like that, this brings the community together. Because once you've been here for a long time, you know that Tristan hates ketchup, DDS loves coffee, DDS loves peanut butter. The community has even asked me what I have for dinner. So you can't have that unless the community is very close. They're very tribal. They love interacting. And the last thing I would say is the riddles. Now, for me, the riddles are very simple. I love doing the secret word task. I, I lovingly say I love torturing our community members, even though a lot of them don't appreciate it. But I think I'm trying to engage with them on a level where everyone has fun. They're engaged for hours on end trying to figure out what the secret word is. But I've been one upped, and I've been one upped by the Riddler, who has brought on Kai's Ledger, which is basically giving people brain damage trying to figure it out. So with this part of the with this part of the riddle, I'll ask Christian to speak more about Kai's Ledger.
Yeah, so if you've been paying close attention to the story and lore of the Webverse, you would have seen that these riddles, even if you can't read or write in Solidity, the code, which is mostly used for EVM networks in crypto, actually connects to all of this lore and storyline of the actual Webverse. So I spent a lot of time and gave myself many migraines trying to come up with the toughest riddles that even ChatGPT can't unfold. And I think it's a great reflection of doing something innovative and reflecting on why we're actually building Entangled to do something more creative, showcasing our infrastructure and showing how we can create this infrastructure into an actual lore with anime type designs and themes. And then those who actually pay attention to all this will be rewarded with a very valuable NFT, which I think most of you would probably want to have once you actually see everything it's going to unlock in the future. So I can't give too many hints today, but make sure you sit in general chat because I'll be dropping a few lines which can help you progress in those riddles as well. But leading on to our next point, maybe we can speak on the roadmap and technical planning because I know a lot goes into actually prioritizing integrations as it can have an effect on revenue or grants, for example, which we've received many of, and also what integrations would have the biggest impact on our protocol moving forward from a marketing standpoint, a revenue standpoint, integrating with other protocols in their ecosystem. I'm sure Faisal or Slava, you'd be a great person to answer on this.
Yeah, so very briefly, I think I just want to go back one step before I answer that. I think the community aspect is very, very important. We can put in all the thought in the world in building the most, advanced technology, connecting all of Web3 blockchains and ecosystems. There's a reason why we have an infrastructure solution that is partnering with other blockchains and other applications. So it's a B2B, business to business solution. And we also have a business to user solution like Liquid Vaults. And really, your community forms part of your revenue. So I just wanted to add there that it's very important that everybody really understands and looks into what we're doing at Entangle. If that means you reading on what is LP token, what is yield, what is money, how it all works, it's actually a fantastic opportunity to really learn about what is the future essentially. With the wealth transition that's going on, with previous generations now moving on, and a wealth transfer to the younger generations that are all into digital cash and cryptocurrency, this space has only just started moving. This is not the beginning. This is not the end or close to the end. This is actually the very, very beginning of what is an entirely massive market that is beyond our comprehension. So if you're not educating yourself, you're doing yourself a disservice. So it's very, very key that, we're not just a community that's following what the leaders are saying. It's also a community that enjoys what the leaders are saying because they actually understand what we're saying. So it's very key that you're all educating each other. And it's very, very important that we're about to expand with Entangle absolutely massively. Like, there's no doubt about that. And what I want to see is people welcoming new members. I totally agree with the whole tribal feeling, but the bigger the tribe, the more powerful Entangle is, the more we have revenue and the more everyone here is successful. So it's very key that you're welcoming new members. Nobody has an ego. And that should be a reflection of us. The way we run the team internally, there's no ego. Everybody's very much on the same page. We're all training together, working together, and ultimately it's because we don't have an ego and allow us all to grow is that why we're able to present such things to the community and to the outside world. Similarly, when new people are joining, give them a chance, let them ask whatever questions. Some of you really need to take that leadership role within the community where you're starting to understand the protocol at a very deep level. You're understanding when we're connecting to OKX chain or Base or anybody else that is incoming, even though I've just slipped up some alpha there. It's very key that you understand what that means for Entangle. I don't, like this. I think we need to change crypto completely, personally speaking, where, a partnership and everybody gets very excited. But what does that partnership mean? What is that bringing to your project? What does that mean for your token? What does that mean for your community? How big can we go with that? And then you're able to make more informed posts. You're able to have more informed conversations. So that is something that I'm looking for personally. I do often read through some of the chats. It's not like I don't. I like to see the vibe in the community, and you're doing a wonderful job. But I truly believe this community has a few more steps to go in progression, and every day is a chance for you to put some hours in and actually learn about what we're doing. And believe me, it's going to do massive favors for yourselves, for your futures, and for you being pivotal in what is now an economy that's only going to grow. It's really, if like the transition of wealth between the previous generation of the boomers to the Gen Zs now, and if you understand what's happening in the background there, crypto is the only way forward. So just get ready for when this is going to really take off, and be that educated individual who's taken time out to learn stuff, ask questions, to ensure that you're not blind when this hyper cycle really and truly proliferates into something extraordinary large. So yes, Christian, back to the roadmap and tech planning. I guess really, one of the things that we did at Entangle is that we raised very, very low valuations in comparison to our competitors. So at public round, we are at a $45 million valuation. Our competitors currently are somewhat in 3 to 5 to 12 to $18 billion. And we can genuinely say, and not just say, we've proven on testnet that we have a much more advanced, flexible, on-chain, secure, ready solution that is partnering and providing real utility. And we're constantly thinking of ways of how to ensure that we're able to stand alongside and actually outgrow our competitors. Even though we're not the kind of project that's looking to shove anybody out the market, we believe it's an entirely massive market. There's room for competitors, but there's certainly room for Entangle to, just amplify from here to, very, very significant scale. So for us, really, because we don't have unlimited resources, we have to manage things very carefully on our side. Prioritization and grants are very, very key. When we go to a partner, we straight away speak to them, tell them what benefits that we can bring immediately. They often give us a grant or co-marketing. We're recently in discussions with OKX Chain, which will obviously be leading us towards an OKX listing. We've already agreed co-marketing and many other things with OKX, which is now starting this fantastic relationship. So Entangle is very fortunate that we can actually partner with chains which have exchanges and deliver value to those ecosystems. And as a result, we get leverage in our negotiations with exchanges. We've received a grant from Telos, which are obviously a smaller blockchain, but they do have a very interesting, diverse ecosystem, which we're going to be partnering with. But in terms of how we prioritize, we have to look at, okay, in terms of cost saving, is this going to lead to a listing? Is it going to lead to a large community expansion? Is it going to lead to a large TVL on mainnet? Is this partnership going to expand our community? So we have to go through 5 or 6 multiple points before we actually then decide. Obviously, we have to look at tech resources, how much time spent, how many engineers need to go on this particular integration. So it's a very carefully managed exercise. And in the end, the answer is this going to benefit Entangle? Give it a rating out of 10. If it's 9 or 8 or 7, depending on the previous criteria that I gave you, that then gets bumped up and prioritized for an integration. And whether that integration is cross-chain data, whether it's our price feed or data feed solution, or whether it's liquid vaults, that is the power of Entangle, that it can sort of approach any ecosystem from such a diverse range of angles that we're able to really hit home with an integration, secure a partnership, and then ensure that we prioritize according to the value that it brings the ecosystem. So that is how we prioritize, and that is how we look at roadmaps and tech integration and tech planning.
Thank you, Faisal. I might just add in here to answer Tristan's second question, which was which integrations will have the biggest effect on the revenue aspect. This is precisely where machinations come very much in hand, so we can precisely see what each product segment adds to our token and, of course, our revenue, and making the protocol sustainable compared to the API and incentivization of the keepers and validators. Here we can clearly see 2 winners. One which is mainly providing additional utility to liquid vaults, which is integrating with lending and borrowing protocols or derivatives protocols. And the second vector is, of course, customizable data feeds and price feeds, where we have a few of those partnerships cooking, which we're looking to disclose soon.
Some really great points made as usual. And I think one of my favorite ones is understanding the impact of every specific action we take, because at the end of the day, there's so many moving parts that if you don't prioritize what's best for your protocol and what's best for the community, then it's very easy to go down a slippery slope and really not scale to the level you're meant to. And I think something which really goes alongside this prioritization is also the content that you put out around this. So we've had a really big focus on designs and doing creative type of things like web bursts and even the animations you might see on educational content. So maybe Faisal, do you have any input on how you like to position educational content and also the importance of the complexity level that actually produces?
So I think when it comes to content planning, really you have to look at a number of different perspectives. There's different audiences in crypto. There's obviously people who have done very well early in cycles and are very informed. They understand how cycles work. They've educated themselves. They are very aware of how tech operates. Some of these people are very technical. And that is where obviously you have large funding and large money, and you can't always keep your content sort of more simplistic, because in the end, optics are very, very important in crypto. But at the same time, your community and newcomers to the space and those people that are not so informed need content that appeals to them and they can also learn from. So we have to kind of switch things up when it comes to content. Design, I believe, is absolutely imperative if you want to build something very successful. I think how we see things is how we perceive things, I guess, is the correct way to put it. So beauty and making things look very aesthetically pleasing is very important. But at the same time, we also know the amount of substance behind the stuff that we put out. So yeah, I think storytelling is absolutely essential also. You know, really one of our most powerful assets, I guess, is the fact that we are trying to solve a massive problem, a global Web3 problem. And if we are positioned as the infrastructure that touches everything on every chain and can capture all existing money in the ecosystem and allow that to be recycled and optimized and grow more. You know, it's like somebody coming and knocking your door and asking you for money. You're likely to shut the door even if they're selling you something. But if they come to your door and say, you can keep your money in your hand and I'm going to grow it whilst you're looking at it, you're more than likely to say, well, I'm going to try this because the money stays with me. And that's what we're doing. We're targeting existing assets in the ecosystem and allowing them to grow. So, you know, but at the same time, behind all of this, and often, you know, I have talks with you, Tristan, sometimes that maybe we should, like, sometimes we talk, you know, in terms which not everyone may understand. So we're trying to deliver simplistic messages as well. But at the same time, even before these questions came up, Tristan, about education and content, you know, I did mention that it's very important that everybody educates. You know, how you do anything is how you do everything. And what we need everyone to do is just realize that spending some hours in the day studying this space, and when new members come in to an informed community, everybody wants to join that community even more. So that is how we look at content in terms of target audiences, simplicity, how we see design being very important. And most importantly, in order to allow this to happen, we need to hire correct and top professionals that are excellent in design. And even our designers, we have multiple sessions with them explaining to them how this all works. Because if they're designing something without knowing how the intrinsic mechanics work, it can often not lead to the correct end result. So for us, it's very key that all of the team members from marketing to BD, you know, and even, for example, anybody who's involved with the community, you know, DDS completely understands the product, for example, really well. I enjoy talking to him about the intricacies of what we're building. And you can hear the passion in his voice of the possibilities. And imagine that effect amplified across 20,000 people. That is the start of what you call a proper movement. And that is the only way that this is going to reach the potential that it can reach.
That was an excellent update as always. And I think maybe, do you mind muting yourself, Hazel?
Yeah,
Yeah.
1 second.
Yeah, so as I was saying, it was an excellent overview. And what also flows into this really well with the storytelling, design, and education is the actual branding of your product and how that's perceived by everyone. Because at the end of the day, branding is essentially marketing, and you'll see some of the biggest projects having the best branding and typically going for that minimal look, which is very easy to understand and comprehend what they're actually doing. So if you've seen in recent times, we actually did a massive rebrand for Entangle, which I think makes it look like one of the best projects on the market personally. And you've actually seen a lot of our language change. And these small, subtle shifts in language make a massive difference, especially to community and investors, because now instead of using extremely complex wording, like we mentioned with education, you can now understand it through the lens of, say, a more retail audience, but at the same time, still understands all the intricate details that we're trying to build. So maybe, Faisal, did you want to reflect again on how you've done this and what our process has been behind the recent rebrand?
Yeah, I think obviously we started out with a bit of a cyberpunk look. And really at the time, before we really advanced into the maturity of what we're building, it was great. It was a really good start. It was fit for purpose at the time. But of course, as we started to get more involved and started to dig very deep into the tech and understand what the possibilities are here, we knew at that moment that when we're dealing with partners, when we're dealing with investors, they need to see designs and they need to see an outlook on the project which looks and feels like the $1 billion project. And essentially, that Web 2, if you look at any of the large companies in Web 2, be it Meta, be it Facebook, or any of the, even though it's Meta's Facebook now, or be it Instagram, or any of the large Web 2 companies, Google, they all have a simplistic approach, a minimalistic approach, Apple. So we did a lot of homework on looking at very successful Web 2 companies, because even now in Web 3, I truly believe that the level of, I'd say, professionalism and branding is still far superior in Web 2. So we actually took a lot of Web 2 research into what we did for the design for Entangle. And I'm genuinely looking forward to showcasing the UX and the UI, the updated applications, how we're dealing with that. It's taking some time because we've had to do some hiring around this area. But genuinely very excited to showcase exactly what we're building. We have to, and the more sort of we look into tools as well. So we are running tools, for example, on our testnet, which can showcase where users are getting stuck, which buttons are good, which ones are bad, which ones are not very efficient. And that is going into the new process. So it's actually a data-driven process. Everything is data. The more knowledge that you have from your data, the better you can design your products. So we're looking at things from a very data-oriented perspective and feeding that into our own decision-making process, and what will lead to a world-class UX UI that everybody in this community can be proud of.
It's certainly great seeing how much effort has actually gone into this, because when you look at our website, it might look like a simple list, a simple website which wouldn't take too long to create, but most people don't realize it's gone through several weeks of extreme brainstorming and people arguing about wording changes, and it might come down to just a singular word which actually can make or break a website and also the branding itself. So there's a lot that actually goes into branding and UI UX, and it's often a super overlooked part of crypto because people are always so focused on their product or the marketing that branding can often get left in the background as well. So when you see products with really high level branding, it's something that should be appreciated a lot more than what you typically would see on the surface because there's a lot that actually goes into it. So maybe to discuss our final topic, which is relationship building and how you actually grow in crypto, because in comparison to Web 2, relationship building can be quite different and you have to kind of, I guess, go with the flow is probably one of the best ways I can describe it. So maybe Faisal, did you have any points on how you build such a good relationship with all of our partners?
Yeah, I think Web 2 is matured to such a level that it's very routine for business development to just reach out, cold calling. It's very expected that that's how the business is derived. I think people that have moved over to Web3, and that's, believe me, it's a very small minority of a small portion of the population that's moved over to Web3. It's not still, there's so much growth to go. I think really those that moved over to Web3, like myself, from TradFi investment banking, from the likes of JP Morgan, Credit Suisse, Barclays, etc. We moved because obviously we saw a new world, a new vision, kind of different to the standardized system, which is heavy on taxes, takes your money, keeps your money, and then gives it to you when you need it. And sometimes it will tell you, we're not giving you your money, I guess. So moving into that new phase of Web3, where it's decentralized, you control your own keys, you control your own wealth, you make your investment decisions, you get to participate into projects which could potentially change your life very early. You won't simply get those opportunities in Web 2. So we moved over to Web 3 with a certain energy in mind to create a different type of environment. So the relationship building is kind of turned on its head here, and it's not about just trying to build yourself and be selfish and not think about what the other protocol is doing or what your other partners are doing or how can you mutually benefit each other, because it's like a different world. Essentially, it's a parallel financial system. So you have the legacy financial system, which is obviously still ongoing, and you have the Web3 financial system, which is what we're in at the moment. And the Web3 financial system is built on a group of individuals who are coming together most of the time. Obviously, you get a lot of rug pulls and all sorts of different shady stuff happening. And that's everywhere. And we can't avoid that, unfortunately. But I guess those that are really thoroughly building are building with the energy that this is a collective effort to continue to grow this world into something that is sustainable, something that can make a difference in every single person's lives and give everyone a chance, a fair chance, if they put the work in to genuinely make it. So that is the kind of nature of the relationships underlying your connections in Web3. And I feel that we have done that very well, connected to people, showcase that we're here to build. We're not just here to knock your door, get your badge, disclose it on Twitter and say we're partners. We actually want to do some work. Early doors, we had to do so much work on all of our partners, integrated them. We really broke our backs very, very early. Now, of course, we're in that position where many partners are coming to us, offering us grants, connectivity, etc. But we really went through a very tough process of day and night, forking blockchains, forking different protocols to do our test net, to make sure it works. And then going to our partners and saying, hi guys, we're Entangle, we've integrated you. These are the benefits that we bring. Can you be our partners? Can you help us? And to be honest, credit to our early partners. They saw that we were very genuine. They looked at the code base and thought, these guys are not here to mess around. Yes, we want to partner with them. So that was the underlying tone of our relationship building. And then I guess it was just mutually having AMAs, doing certain marketing campaigns with them, getting their communities to be aware of Entangle, getting our community to be aware of them, inviting them on stage here a few times. We have had some guests here. So yeah, I guess it's really down to you. It's how you approach, what your intentions are. If you're genuine, if you're building well, if you really want to do something positive, and ultimately, what does it boil down to? Value. If you bring value to the table, everyone's going to open their door and welcome you with open arms, and that's what we like to do: is bring value to all of our partners.
And I guess to wrap up, one more thing we can do to bring value is answer any questions that you guys have now that the main topics are completed. So let us know if there's any questions from your side. I'm sure DDS can tell you the price of his mango pudding and anything that's also related to our infrastructure or upcoming roadmaps.
I guess that's one tasty mango pudding.
I'm just surprised how many people want to eat it in our Discord. I didn't think it was a new trend.
Where does it originate from? Just out of curiosity.
DDS, do you have any clues?
I don't know. They kept asking me MP, the MP. I said, I don't know how much mango pudding costs wherever you live. Then they said, no, mint price. And I said, Tic Tacs are cheap. They aren't that expensive, but it depends on where you live, actually.
Maybe they want the mango pudding with the mint flavor. Like you can get cigarettes with mint flavor, you can get mango pudding with mint flavor.
It's true, but it's not mango season in many countries unless you are I think wherever Faisal and you guys are, I think mangoes you can get there right now.
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen a few mangoes flying around.
Yeah, so if you want the mango pudding price, then ask the guys who have access to mangoes.
I just Googled it. It
And
seems like it's a classic Chinese dessert. Maybe it says that we have a lot of Chinese community in here.
but maybe while we fascinate ourselves on mango pudding, if you've been here before, you'll know that at the end of every AMA, we like to do a riddle, and the winners of this riddle can earn some quite rewarding prizes. So make sure you listen carefully, as these riddles have been taken from a word that is specific to an article we've written in the previous week. So it's a one-worded answer, and make sure you listen carefully. I'm the sum of parts, a mathematical art. Calculus is where I start. Derivatives lead the way, but it's in me, the whole finds its stay. In equations, I'm the key, bringing unity, can't you see? Solving puzzles, piece by piece. What am I? Let your mind release. So I might need some help on this one, DDS and Bobby, because the chat's going to be moving very fast. Still haven't seen the answer yet.
So I think I've seen it. Can you repeat actually, you know what? Repeat it, because I feel a lot of people haven't gotten it yet.
Okay. I'm the sum of parts, a mathematical art. Calculus is where I start. Derivatives lead the way, but it's in me, the whole finds its say. In equations, I'm the key. Solving puzzles, bringing unity, can't you see? Solving puzzles, piece by piece. What am I? Let your mind release. Okay, I think I saw a winner. Man, the chat just moves way too fast.
Yeah, I'm scrolling from above and I've already got 218 messages.
Okay, I think Munchie might have it. Might need to check though and scroll a bit further up. So the answer was integration. So just trying to check if there was someone before Munchie. Okay, I can't see any. So I believe Munchie, looks like you've won today's prize. So let me check what we can give you. Okay, so it looks like you don't have an agent whitelist role yet and a Weaver whitelist role. So maybe DDS, did you want to grant Munchie with that?
Sure. And here you go. He has a weaver, so I'll give him an agent.
Okay, cool. Okay, if there's any final questions, please let us know, as we'll need to jump off on the hour as we have more calls pending. But as always, it's been a great AMA and looking forward to the next one as well as we edge closer to those Christmas holidays. Seems like they just want mango pudding.
My chat actually died. I can't see anything. Oh, it just refreshed.
Yeah, it's moving rather fast. Okay, it seems like there's not too many questions besides mango pudding, so I guess we can probably wrap up here. And I want to thank everyone for showing up, because it was a great AMA, and hopefully you got a look behind the scenes what actually makes Entangled tick. So thank you to Faisal, Slava, and DDS for joining. It's been a pleasure as always, and looking forward to seeing you all on the next one.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. See you very soon. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. It was a great pleasure to be here as always.
Thank you, everyone. I will see you in general for the secret word task. The more eagle-eyed of you have already seen the task go live.
Okay, see you on the next call. Bye bye.